Have you ever felt that you're just lazily floating through life, watching random videos all day and your mind and body simply refuse to do anything productive? And it doesn't matter how many hours of sleep you get, you just wake up feeling tired and unproductive. If your reaction to hearing these statements is like, oh my god, this guy knows exactly what I'm talking about, that's because yeah, I do, because I have been there myself. And because of feeling this way 24/7, I had always underperformed in life. I had failed 3 subjects in high school. I was always procrastinating tasks and cancelling plans. I didn't want to be tired and unmotivated for the rest of my life. I knew there had to be a solution to this problem. So for the last 6 years, I've read hundreds of books on productivity, watched thousands of podcasts on psychology, neurology, and I tried a bunch of different diets, supplements, and mental frameworks. In this video, I'm going to convert that 6 years of research into 4 protocols that had the most impact on my energy and motivation levels. They worked so well that they completely flipped my life around. I went from someone who was a complete academic failure to someone who was now working as a software engineer at Fortune 500 companies such as Dell Technologies, AMD, Synopsys. Additionally, I became one of the top performing students in both my bachelor's and my master's program. From someone who was always tired, unmotivated, and procrastinating things, to someone who now reads multiple books a month, lifts weights, runs a YouTube channel, and trains martial arts 6 days a week. Now, the point of this transformation is not to overwhelm you or brag about how awesome I am, which I am by the way, but it's rather to show you that I'm not talking out of my ass. Neither was I a gifted individual. I too had to claw my way out of the depths of hell to make this transformation possible. I want you to understand the reason why you are currently where you are and not where you actually want to be is because there is a knowledge gap between those 2 places. And the sooner that you fill this knowledge gap, the quicker you will be able to achieve those goals. I hope that with the protocols that I'm going to share, you are going to be able to bridge this knowledge gap and accomplish your goals. So let's get right into it. Back in the day, this is what my mornings used to look like. I used to wake up, and as soon as I would wake up, I would check my notifications, and then I would scroll for like 10 to 20 minutes, still groggy, still tired. Then I would crawl out of my bed, semi-sleep deprived, and I would have like a bowl full of some sugary cereal, Cocoa Pops or something. Like these 2 things on the surface, they look so harmless, like something what every normal person would do. But the truth is that as soon as I did these 2 behaviors, my day was now destined to be ruined, even before I actually began my day. For the rest of the day, I would literally end up lying on the couch, scrolling through social media, binge watching Netflix shows, playing video games, and procrastinating every single productive thing. The reason is that scrolling through social media and watching the highlights of other people's life is very, very hyper-stimulating, engaging content that is just 60 seconds long before you experience the next novel piece of content. It all stimulates you a lot. It all releases a lot of pleasure chemicals in your brain called dopamine. And think about the message that it sends my body. It tells my body that, hey, you can just lie down and experience pleasure, dopamine, without having to move a muscle. Then I used to crawl out of my bed and have this sugary processed cereal that has like 30 ingredients in it. And it was designed by some food scientists who try to make it as addictive as possible. And this again bombarded my brain with more pleasure, more dopamine, more stimulation. And this all happened within the span of 30 minutes from waking up. So I had now sent 2 strong messages to my body that, hey, pleasure is readily available. You do not have to do much to acquire it. You have now already set the standard for the day, and later on when you actually try to do productive things, your body disobeys you because it is so used to getting all that unearned pleasure, it does not want to work hard for it anymore. From the moment that I finished scrolling and eating breakfast, I could say that I was experiencing this mental tug of war in my brain. One side of my brain urging me to do productive things, urging me to get my homework right, get my grades right, get my career right, stressing me out, telling me about the deadlines, making me feel guilty. There's this other side of my brain that was busy trying to sedate me, telling me, hey, have another brownie, chillax, relax on the couch, no worries. The truth is that I had already picked a side in this battle by the activities that I'd chosen to do first thing in the day, scrolling and eating processed sugar. That had allowed my monkey brain, this brain that wants quick pleasure, instant pleasure, and wants to just sedate you, that had won. That had become way stronger due to these activities. And now 90% of the time when these regions of brain were like battling against each other, it was my monkey brain that came out on top. So once I understood this principle that there is a tug of war going in my head and the activities that I choose can dictate the outcome of this war, that is when I completely changed my morning routine. So the first thing that I would now do is avoid looking at my phone. Like the previous night, I would put it on flight mode. So in the morning, I knew that I had no notifications since it was on flight mode. And as soon as I got out of my bed, I would try to do something challenging. I had my laptop set up and I would do some challenging work for at least 1 hour. These usually used to be the study sessions that I would do. And I kid you not, I wouldn't even brush my teeth. I would just get up straight like a zombie and start working for 1 hour. After doing these early morning sessions, I realized 2 things. The first first one was that I had a much easier time being productive for the rest of the day because I had like set the standard that, okay, we need to work hard in order to get some pleasure, some dopamine. The second thing I noticed was that my mood for the rest of the day was a lot better because I started my day with a win. I knew that I was now heading towards my goals, and this made me feel better about myself. And my self-image changed from someone who was not a very productive person to someone who was now waking up and actively pursuing his goals. The other key change that I made in my morning routine was that I would now skip breakfast. And I know what the conventional wisdom says, that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. However, I noticed that whenever I would have like a big breakfast, I would feel tired and groggy and I would not feel like working. But working without breakfast, working like a fasted state, I actually felt a lot more energetic and I was able to focus a lot more. So this is the first lesson that I would share with you. Start your day off by doing something productive because that sets the standard for the day. So then I thought to myself that just removing two hyper-stimulating activities like scrolling, eating processed garbage, that had such a profound impact on my life. What if I removed more hyper-stimulating activities from my life? And what if I not just removed them from my morning, but I also removed them from the rest of my day? I then made a list of all such activities that I subconsciously knew were bad for me. Things like binge watching Netflix, playing video games, scrolling, pornography. And no matter how many internet articles you read about pornography and masturbation being good for you and being healthy, just know that you're looking at pixels on a screen and your brain is being flooded with dopamine. It is horrible for you. And if you're a girl who's hooked to stimulating erotic fiction novels about wolves and vampires, just know that you too are receiving unearned stimulation. So you have to be brutally honest with yourself and ask yourself, what are the behaviors or things that I'm doing that are not good for me? And there's going to be a voice in your head that is going to try and justify these behaviors. For example, with me, I always thought that I could eat fast food because I'm bulking, I'm picking up size, so I need it. And with video games, I used to defend them by saying, oh, it's improving my hand-eye coordination, it's a good skill to have. All these were coping mechanisms for my drug. I didn't want to give up my drug, so I was just defending it from all possible angles. After quitting the things on this list for like 2 to 3 weeks, I started feeling motivated again. I was no longer that person who was always depressed and tired, but I was now rather filled with energy, like that zest for life had returned. Things which I previously found boring, like reading, studying, programming, all of a sudden these things started seeming a lot more interesting to me, and I started doing them a lot more consistently. If you're the type of person that enjoys information-based content rather than pointless entertainment, then make sure that you click on the subscribe button because I'm going to be making a lot more of these. The next protocol that I'm going to tell you about is an absolute game changer, and it is something that most people are not doing. When I was growing up, I used to experience a lot of brain fog, and this is the state of being confused all the time or not being fully alert. I remember in the classroom there used to be a teacher teaching on the board, writing stuff and speaking out loud. I could see what was being written, I could hear what was being said, but I could not comprehend anything. It's as though I was some deer staring at headlights. And now looking back at it and having connected the dots, I realized I felt this way because of what I was eating. Like anytime I was bored, stressed or anxious or had any sort of negative emotion in me, I would instantly binge eat fast food. And this was like my coping mechanism. This used to like make me feel better, at least for that moment. And people around me did say that fast food was bad. My teachers, my parents, my friends, they were like, nah, this is shitty, don't do that. But to me, the reason why fast food was considered shitty was because it made you fat. It just made you aesthetically unappealing. And I thought to myself that, okay, I might be a bit chubby, a bit fat, but in return I get Oreos, Big Mac, shakes. I was willing to make that deal, but I was wrong. The true dangers of fast food is that it makes you feel fatigued, tired, unmotivated, and it gives you brain fog because you're now eating a shit ton of ingredients which are unnatural. Like they did not grow out of the earth or they were not animals running around. This was designed in a factory, processed with tons of chemicals, and when you put this into your system, your body has all sorts of negative reactions to it. And the worst part is it is very hard to figure out that it is the food that is causing you to feel this way. Like for years I could not understand why was I constantly having brain fog. Did I have ADHD or was I just stupid? Finally I decided that, you know what, I'm gonna quit all fast food. And within 2 weeks, my attention span became a lot better and my mood became a lot better. And this wasn't just my experience. I had a friend back in Germany and one day he calls me and says, Jibreal, I have my exams coming up. It's been weeks and I do not feel like lifting a book. And this guy was not someone who I would consider lazy or unambitious. No, he was like an international student in Germany, so this degree meant a lot to him. These exams were going to decide the rest of his life, but he could not get himself to study. It's like his mind and his body said, nope, we are not doing this. So we started the process of diagnosing in life. And one of the questions that I asked him was that, what does your diet look like? Because he was eating pasta, pizza, bunch of sauces, and he was eating out at least once in 3 days. So this is exactly what I told him. Do not eat anything for the next 20 hours. Like, go on a fast. No more food for the next 20 hours. And when you break that fast, break it with whole, natural, single ingredient food like honey, dates, meat, fish, fruits, vegetables, potato. These all are whole, natural, single ingredient foods that are actually good for your mind and body. The next day he texts me and says, Jibreal, it worked. And I kid you not, it took 1 day of fasting that allows you to detoxify yourself and consuming healthy, natural food to get him to become motivated and fill him up with energy again. The next protocol is for someone who is deep within a rut and just cannot seem to get out. I used to find myself in ruts fairly frequently. The way I would actually fall into it is as follows. Like, one day I would have shitty food or sleep really late, and then I would wake up feeling tired, and I was like, you know what? Let's make today a cheat day. Let's not do much today. Let's be unproductive. Let's just chill out. And that cheat day would turn into a cheat week, and that cheat week would turn into 2 weeks and 3 weeks and a month. So having been through a lot of ruts and having successfully come out of a lot of ruts, this is the exact protocol that I would follow. The first thing that you need to do is stop sedating yourself. Like, during the course of a rut, there is something that you're doing that is making you feel comfortable, that is numbing you out, that is elongating that rut. Identify what it is. It could be binge watching some show, it could be playing video games, it could be pornography, it could be eating junk food. There is something that is keeping you in that rut and making you and telling you that it's okay, sedating you. Whatever that mechanism is, stop it cold turkey and start getting bored. Unless and until you start getting bored, you are not going to make an attempt to even get out of that rut. So the first thing that you need to do is get bored. Stop all the stimulating agents and just stay there. Even if you don't feel like doing anything, get bored. That is what will bring about that force that wants a change. Because boredom is a force that is hard to tolerate. If you're getting bored for a couple of hours, you're going to want to do something naturally to kill that boredom. And if you can't have quick instant pleasures, sedating mechanisms, then you're going to want to do something else. The next thing that I would do is that I would start negotiating with myself in a very calm, composed manner. I would almost talk to myself like I was my own friend. And I would be like, hey man, look, I know you're in a rut. I know you don't feel like anything, but we kind of need to get out of this. Is there something tiny that you are willing to do that is not too overwhelming? Is there something such as that you would be willing to do? And to be honest, some days the answer to that question was, you know what, I can just manage to take a bath, or you know what, I can just manage to put these clothes in my cupboard, I can just manage to clean my table. When you are very, very deep in a rut, you would want to start with very, very tiny things. And as soon as I would finish these tiny things, I would actually start feeling better about myself. Like, your brain actually releases dopamine once you tick off things off your to-do list. So this dose of dopamine, this dose of pleasure that, okay, I did something, it turns into motivation, and then you can snowball this into doing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger things and finally come out of the rut. Remember this, have a conversation with yourself. Treat yourself like you are someone you are responsible for helping out, and this way you will do justice to yourself. These were the 4 protocols that had a life-changing impact on my energy and motivation levels. But knowing these protocols alone is not enough. You actually need to implement them in your life. For this, you would need to know how to fast, how long to fast, how to break a fast, how to design a routine, how to fix your sleep schedule. All of these things make the foundation of your life. And without having a strong foundation in your life, these protocols will not work. So if you would like to work one-on-one with me to build a strong foundation, then make sure that you click on the link in the description and book a call with me. In this call, we'll discuss where you are in life, what your goals are, and how I can help you achieve them. I only take on 5 clients at a time. Book it now so you don't miss out.